Okay, as far as weather is concerned, what has been the temperature today?
A day's calendar day's maximum temperature will be recorded at 17:30 hours. That is 5:30 p.m. of today. So if we compare it with the previous days, today is almost going to get recorded value of around 36 degrees Celsius, because the conditions have been much similar to what it was on yesterday. Like what we are more concerned about, if we talk about coastal climate like Goa, is the time when sea breeze gets set. So today the sea breeze was set at around 1 o'clock. So that is not going to increase the maximum temperature to a higher extent like it was in the last week. So we are expecting a value for today which is going to be reported at around 17:30 hours, and probably it will be around 36 degrees Celsius.
What was yesterday?
Yesterday it was 35.8 degrees Celsius. And if you've been following IMD's forecast continuously, you must have seen that on 26th of February itself, IMD had issued one forecast that the maximum temperature is going to be higher over Goa for two spells. Like first spell will be from 1st March to 4th March, and the second one from 8th to 10th. So during that first spell, from 1 to 4, we had 3rd March getting reported with 37.8 degrees Celsius. That is 5 degrees Celsius higher than normal for
3rd March.
3rd March.
Okay.
Then on 8th March, Panji station recorded 38.4 degrees Celsius, which is 6 degrees Celsius higher than normal. And on the same day, Marmagaon reported 38 degrees Celsius, which is also 6.4 degrees Celsius higher than normal. So when these temperatures were of this higher range, IMD had issued on 7th, we had issued a heat wave warning that we had issued on 8th actually, for 8th and 9th of March, that the maximum temperature, there are some criteria to declare heat wave. Like the maximum temperature has to be higher than 37 degrees and it has to persist for 2 days at least. So all these conditions were expected to satisfy on 8th and 9th. And on 8th, as IMD had forecasted, the heat wave was realized. And even though heat wave was not there for the entire 8th, 9th and 10th, what we had precisely told was that the maximum temperature is going to be on the higher side up to 10th. It is going to continue up to 4 to 6 degrees Celsius higher than normal. So even today, the maximum temperature, if it gets recorded around 36 degrees Celsius, that's again around 4 degrees Celsius higher than normal. Now the fall in this maximum temperature is gradually expected from tomorrow onwards. Tomorrow and day after tomorrow, in these 2 days, we can experience, it is likely to get experienced that a 2 to 3 degrees Celsius gradual fall in maximum temperature will be there. And slowly and steadily, the maximum temperature will come back to the normal values. And further, at least for 2 weeks, we are not expecting any consistent higher maximum temperatures as we faced it in the last week of February and first week of March.
So, the highest temperature which was recorded on 8th March is the highest among how much years past we can consider?
Now if we talk about that, a few maximum temperatures, in the sense a few number of days with such higher temperatures getting recorded in the month of February or March is not an unusual thing. There has been a number of incidents, number of days in the previous years when such values were recorded. Just taking an example, taking this 38.4 degrees Celsius which was recorded on 8th March. That of course is this calendar year's 2023's up to now highest maximum temperature. But again, that doesn't even come at second or third, or it is most probably the 4th highest of just the March maximum temperatures if you take the entire set of data. It's not that it is all of a sudden the highest ever recorded value or anything. That is just talking about March, it is only the 4th one. And if we take the entire calendar year and see what was the highest ever maximum temperature recorded, that was in the month of April 1989, 7th April 1989, and that day it was recorded at Panji a maximum temperature of 39.8 degrees Celsius, almost 40 degrees Celsius. So the point here is these higher number of values get recorded in certain frequencies, particularly in March and February. But this year what has happened is that 3 or 4 times it exceeded 37 degrees Celsius and reached values like 38 and all. But again, to add to that, once again, in 2013 also we had a similar scenario where Panji from around 2nd March to 8th March back to back it recorded 37 or higher degrees Celsius.
Now if you go to see, what could be the reason for this increase of 4 degrees higher or 3 degrees higher to above the normal?
Now, like I told, it has a lot of dependence on this particular season or this particular time of the year, particularly in February and first weeks of March. The dominating winds in the lower levels of atmosphere over Goa are easterly winds. Easterly winds means these winds blow from east side, which for Goa is a landmass. On the west side we have ocean. So when the sea breeze gets sets, when the sea wind from the ocean side, moisturous wind from the ocean side gets set, then the maximum temperature does not increase further. So now what has happened in the month of February as well as in the month of March is that because of some systems in the eastern parts of the country or in the parts which are north to Goa, these easterly winds are stronger over Goa and they prevent the sea breeze from setting at its normal time. And when the sea breeze setting time is delayed, the maximum temperature over coastal regions shoot up by 3 or 4 degrees Celsius, and that exactly has been the reason this year also in February and March when we had this higher.
So next 2 weeks you are expected to the temperature to come down.
Exactly. From tomorrow onwards there could be a gradual fall, and we are even finding scenarios or the probabilities that from 15th onwards or from late hours of 14th onwards itself there are possibilities of increased moisture incursion over Goa, a little bit of clouding than the clear skies that we are observing, and from 15th onwards there is possibility of even light rainfall, thunder shower activity at isolated places over
Nowadays, some fire incidents are taking place in Goa. There are forest fires taking place in Goa. So, is it possible with this temperature to get forest fired up, lit up like that?
Now there are two things to
with
that.
This temperature, which is
With this temperature, general view.
Yeah, there are two things to that. First thing is that of course when the temperature is higher, the humidity values are lower. Like now, the humidity values. Now, particularly speaking about the last week, the lowest humidity values were even up to 20%, which is significantly lower than the normal value. So when the maximum temperature is 3 to 4 degrees Celsius higher and the humidity values are much lower, then of course there is possibility that a larger number of or larger area of biomass get dried out. Like if we talk about the grass and all, there's a good possibility that they get dried out and they are susceptible for or vulnerable for fire. When even there is a small spark, whether it be human activity or be a natural activity, there's a good probability that since more area is vulnerable for spreading of fire, even a tiny spark can increase the area which is affected by the fire.
No, but this tiny spark could be either from man-made, no disaster.
That
It cannot be general as far as due to temperature rise, because this temperature has been normal.
Temperature hasn't been normal. Temperature has
No,
been
3-4
Yeah.
increase, but that has been the general view, general
Yeah,
day-to-day.
the
This.
point is entirely valid. The thing is that there are sometimes stones which get heated up, and if the dried grass is in contact with that, there is of course possibility that the grass which is already dried out catch fire. And apart from that, to precisely define what exactly led to the forest fire or led to ignition there, we would like to have the actual data from the spot. Like what we are observing, what we are talking about is data of Panj or Marmagaon, whereas the locations that we are talking about when talking about Ghat areas, they are much eastward. So to precisely talk about what led or whether environmental conditions has played a role to that, we will require data from those regions, which as of now IMD is not having a day-to-day or hour-to-hour data from those
No, but
regions.
this is not only in Ghats. It has been close to the Panjim city, like in Kortalim, like in Navelim, that side. So those
Taligaon
areas
also
also,
today,
even in
fire-
Taligaon today,
fire-
which is very
Yeah.
close to Panjim city.
In Panjim
Now-
area or the roadside area, which is normally heated area, we can definitely say that the lower temperature and higher temperature and lower humidity has led to the probability of an increased area getting caught with fire. So that
Due to temperature rise,
temperature and the low humidity.
because of low. But this type of things never used to happen. Only because of this year.
The dry grass catching fire has been there. If you check with fire department's data, maybe they are the ones who are the first responders to that.
Correct.
If you check with them, you'll be getting the entire details, like from which date it has started, and then you'll be able to.
But it started
correlate.
today only morning.
No, please don't speak without the data. I have been observing that has been there from the month of January itself. Only thing is that the number of
Catching fire.
Yeah, number of incidents has increased, and probably the intensity also increased because of the increase in temperature and low humidity.
so it can be natural and man-made also.
It can be either of them. Only thing is that the low humidity and higher temperature makes it susceptible for a larger area to catch fire.
So in Taligaon also, like as far as their data,
Perne, Taligaon, Mapsa, all these
number
places,
of times you mean to say.
there has been number of times when this dry grass is catching fire. Now, forest catching fire is a different thing. I may not be able to comment on that because we don't have the temperature or humidity values from the forest area. But the city side areas, when the temperature rises, there is incidence of dry grass catching fire.
Okay.